Welcome to the FITEX 2020 webinars. To talk about effective tourism marketing during crises, please welcome Dr. Eran Kette, tourism consultant, researcher, and author.
Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be with you today. Our topic for today is tourism marketing in the COVID-19 era. And we'll try to discuss some of the things that we as businesses or as a destination can and should do in order to enhance tourism at these turbulent times. So I'm very excited to be with you today. As you can see, I'm in the comfort of my home. Very unfortunately, I'm not with you at the Philippines or at Bohol. I had the privilege to be with you in the FITEX 2017, and I hope maybe we'll meet in the FITEX of 2021 or 2022, whenever things will be made possible. A few things about myself. So I'm a researcher and advisor in the field of tourism marketing with a strong focus on destination marketing crisis and crisis recovery. I'm the author of a few publications in the field, and also in my work as advisor, I'm a former marketing advisor of the Israeli Ministry of Tourism, and I'm now based in Israel. As you can see, this is my home in Israel. And also I'm now serving as advisor for the European Travel Commission on a research of aim to examine how to promote tourism in the post-COVID or in this COVID-19 era in the European Union, and maybe we'll share a few of the insights from that comes out from this research. So we're going to divide our talk today into two parts. The first part is kind of review the last decade, how we gone from growth to crisis, try to understand our way down. And we use this as a baseline for the second part to try to see what should be our way out. How can we recover tourism, recover industry, re-promote tourism under the restrictions that we have around us at the moment. So let's start with growth to crisis, looking at four fundamental stages at the journey that we have recently taken. So first of all, if we put 2020 on the side, we had a horrific decade. 210 to 219 was a decade of growth in global tourism. Global tourism has grown from less than 1 billion tourists to 1.4 billion tourists. In the Philippines, tourism more than doubled itself, growing from 3.5 million tourists in 2010 to more than 8 million tourists in 2019. So we have a very solid decade behind us. And now we're experiencing a crisis that we have never seen before. And this is, of course, the COVID-19 crisis, starting as a very local issue in China around December 2019 or January 2020, and then growing to be a regional crisis, and then spreading out to become a major global crisis. In the field of tourism, you can say that this is the worst crisis tourism has witnessed in the era of modern tourism. If we want to put this in numbers, so if we're talking about people infected with COVID-19, we're talking about 30 million people infected and some 1 million casualties. If we want to put these numbers into tourism, so we can look at the aviation industry and say that in Q2, in the second quarter of 2020, global aviation slashed in 91% decrease in activity of airlines, of commercial airlines in April, May, and June 2020. Now in July, we're starting to see a little bit of recovery. We see that in Europe, globally, only 80% down, which is relatively better than what we have seen. And in Asia, where the situation is a little better, it's 72% down year on year. Asia was first to be hit by the COVID-19, and it seemed that it is also the first to slowly and gradually recover from the situation. Not fully, of course, not yet. Of course, another aspect of the total impact of COVID-19 is on tourism businesses. We know that in the Philippines, we have at least 5 million people who are employed in the tourism industry, and we're not talking about secondary and third and more circles that are affected by tourism. And we're talking about somehow 13% of the GDP of the country. So that effect only on the tourism field, without even relating to other fields of the economy or the health situation, is a huge negative impact globally and also locally. And I assume that everyone with us today in this webinar is very well aware of the negative consequences of the COVID-19. So we have already experienced the impact. We have been experiencing this impact in the first and the second quarters of 2020. And now, after hopefully we've been to the lowest point, we're now gradually, slowly starting to make our way up. And the first stage is adaptation, to adapt to this new situation. And we can see the adaptation in the supply side, that destinations have to rethink their business model, focus more on domestic tourism, also employ new regulation that have to do with social distancing, as you can see, and hygiene and wearing face mask and all kind of things that had to do with the new normality or the new reality. That's on the side of the supply. And on the other hand, on the side of the demand, we can look at key markets, for example, the European market. And the European market had, demand-wise, had a very weak summer with regard to international tourism. Many people decided either not to take a vacation at all or to take it as a domestic holiday, stay within the country. And those who chose to leave their country and go on a trip, they chose close by destinations. Many of them chose not to go in an airplane, but get to the holiday in a train or taking their own private car. So we're talking about, if we're talking about Greece, this is a picture that was taken in northern Greece. So Greece summer, which is the most important part of in their seasonality of tourism as a sea and sun destination, was less than 20% compared to the summer of 2020. So that can give us a little bit of an idea of what's happening in the European market. And as we already in the advanced stage of adaptation, now it's time for us to move forward and start to make more dominant steps or bolder steps into recovery, become more proactive. Many businesses in the earlier stages were more in the phase of absorbing the shock, of saying, okay, many things are changing, let's see which change will happen next. We're now moving from being offensive to being defensive and kind of trying to protect the business. And now it's time to go offensive again and try and see which markets and which audience and which activities we can become offensive with, and what kind of business we can bring back home. And this leads us to the second stage, to the second part of our presentation for today, and this is the stage of crisis to growth. I have spent many hours in researching how destinations and how tourism businesses are marketing themselves. And in this part, I will also share with you some of the things that other destinations are doing, so we can kind of use it as a source of inspiration when thinking what our growth strategy should be in order to come and recover from this crisis. So in tourism, the few last months have been very traumatic, but not only to the tourism industry, but globally. And we saw many, many destinations. Town is just one of them, but there are dozens of examples of destinations that instead of pushing people towards buying the destination, choosing the destination, the exit from the sales funnel that you all, I assume, familiar with. So trying to hold people in the funnel by showing emotion, by showing empathy, by keeping the moral high, by encouraging people, saying that, okay, we'll stay home now, we'll travel later, things will be okay, the world is changing, but we still have each other. So when brands can't sell, so they work on customer relations. They show their human side, they expose their heart, they create all kind of personal, emotional connections between the destination and the audiences. So even if we don't have now all the opportunities to say we would like to use, this is still a good time, both via direct sales, on a phone call, on an email, on a newsletter, and also digitally on our social media pages, on our website. It's a time to show that we care for the people, that we miss the people, that even if you're not coming to the Philippines at the moment, you're still important for us. We still care about you. And through that, we're creating some kind of emotional affinity that when tourism will be completely enabled, so people would be more likely in that case to come to the Philippines because they would have kind of a warm corner in the heart for this destination. One of the things that's happening now is there's a lot of uncertainty. People don't know, even if they want to travel, they don't exactly know what to expect. And we're seeing here a video by Korea Tourism Organization that telling us that the country is open back to tourism. The tourism are welcome to come to the country. We've seen videos, similar videos in other countries, including the UK and Germany and Thailand and other countries, saying that we're open. And there are two aspects for this type of message, which is very important in time of crisis. The first importance is more of a business as usual message, kind of communicate with people what's going on. And the second part is more technical, and this is more to share with people the exact information regarding travel restriction. Are all parts of the country open? What you can do, what you can't do, what things are advised, how you should behave, what's happening if you're being infected with COVID-19 during your visit in the destination, because tourism is not currently, at least, it's not what it used to be. And people have many, many question marks. And this strategy is not only aimed at showing that our doors are open, but explain exactly how these doors are open. And the more information we'll share with people exactly on what's happening in this nation and how things in this nation are being managed, they'll have more ease of mind, more confidence to come and visit you. Of course, COVID-19 is now of the most important factors to people when they're choosing a destination. Actually, in a recent survey, it was found that COVID-19 safety is a top priority for about half of consumers who look to travel, looking to traveling in the remainder of 2020, in the second half of 2020. And it's very important that we'll share with visitors the information regarding that the destination is COVID-19 safe. Now, this could be done in a more technical way, but I want to show you a video of Turkey, a destination that used to welcome some 40 million tourists before COVID-19, and how they're doing it in a very, very playful way, but using this playfulness in order to show us, yes, you can still have a vacation that will be COVID-19 safe, and also fun in the sun, the good old fun, almost like we used to have it before COVID-19.
When Daddy asked if we'd like to go on a journey, my team and I cried, yes! And chop chop, we packed our bags. Our spaceship landed in a whole new world. Cams that scan all the colors in the human body. All those hyper laser sci-fi tech gadgets and the cyborgs. You should have seen all those fantastic things. Daddy said, this is all for your health. In the end, it felt like we were a part of that world. Like in all our travels, we took care of ourselves and had a super duper extraordinary, marvelously fun time. By then, I knew this was the most extraordinary journey of my life. Like forever and ever. The voyage to the green blue planet.
We arrange all the necessities and details for both joy and wellness for you to enjoy our beautiful Turkey with your loved ones. Save your dates for safe holidays.
So again, in that video, Turkey shows that we can have fun and we can have a safe fun, and Turkey is able to provide it. There's a similar video ad that was heavily promoted that was created by Egypt and of course by other destinations. So we're not hiding the safety, we're not hiding COVID-19, we're not hiding the face mask and the sanitizing gel and everything. We're putting them in the forefront and we show, okay, this is part of the new normality, this is part of life. And yes, we can have tourism and we can have fun, we can enjoy the destinations, but just with all these new items that are now also brought to the table. Another thing that many people have recently experienced during the last few months is a very strong sense of stress, being very stressful by quarantine, by being under lockdown, by COVID-19 risk. And we're seeing now a video ad for Greek talking about a state of mind, an ease state of mind, a restorative experience. And when you're asking people now, when you're asking in a survey in Europe, when you're asking people what type of holiday you want to experience and what you want to experience in that holiday. So people saying we want to have not only the regular sea and sun holiday, but we want to have the sea and sun holiday that would have some kind of a restorative experience, some kind of easiness, ease of mind. People want to relax from the stress they experienced in the last few months, or they're experiencing back at home. And I think that's a great opportunity for Philippines destinations that have the option to offer such an experience. It's a very relaxing place, a very beautiful place that can help people to refine their balance, to regain their peace of mind in the beautiful landscapes of the country and have this some kind of very more of a laid-back mindset that people are looking forward to at the moment. Now, a fifth marketing tip is an ad we can take from Spain, and this is the issue of pristine experience. Now, if we were looking at previous campaigns of Spain, so Spain would usually show you the busy market, the crowded town, the hectic nightlife, and all the video would be filled up with people having fun together. And now we're seeing the tourist, but the tourist now is all by itself, by himself, by herself. Okay, we're seeing very, very, very few people in the background, if at all. And we're talking about going to the countryside, going out, not going to the city, going to the nature, having a pristine experience. And again, for the Philippines, as a country that has so many islands and so many beaches and so many open spaces, for us is an opportunity because there are so many places in the Philippines where you can go and you can almost have your own private beach, or you can have your private few good meters to enjoy the quietness, but also to practice social distancing in a way that is safe and fun, and it's not stressful. And this is also an opportunity for destinations which are less popular, that used to have less traffic in the past, and can turn now this into an opportunity, into a strength point, saying, yeah, where not many people come here, so you should come here when you have a very pristine experience, beautiful beaches, very few people, because this is one of the things that people are looking for at the moment and can be used as a marketing key when we're now addressing new audiences. Another marketing key is to look at past visitors. These past visitors could be people who are originally from the Philippines, Filipinos who now live abroad, who are coming for VFR travel, for visiting friends and relatives. And we see it now as a very solid motivation. People have been under lockdown, people have been stressed, and following this very stressful period, many people miss more than ever, miss their loved ones, miss their close ones. So promoting VFR tourism is very important. VFR tourism is not as profitable as other parts of tourism, but in many cases, people who are on VFR, they still might want to rent a car, they still might want to go to a restaurant to conduct shopping. So they have some kind of positive impact on the local economy. So that's one type of audience. And another type of audience is people who are just past visitors. They are not VFR, but they have been in the destination before. This is an image that was taken from a campaign of Mexico for Americans. Mexico is a very popular destination for people from North America, both the United States and Canada. And they are looking at past visitors as people who are already familiar with the destination. They already have affinity for the destination. They've been there. They know that the people are friendly, that the places are safe. They have some kind of confidence. There's some kind of relations with the destination. In the situation that we currently have, it might be easier to attract tourists who already have some kind of relations with the destinations, people who've never visited the destination before and might have other preferences or might have all kinds of concerns that would be very hard for us at the moment to calm these concerns down. So as marketing advice, I would look at VFR, at past visitors, look back in our database of people we have been in touch with in the past and see how we can make these people return for a second time or a third time or even more back in the Philippines. The next marketing key for us to use is domestic tourism. I assume most businesses that are in this webinar today are already working with domestic tourism, taking advantage of the huge opportunity we have in the Philippines, living in a country that has over 100 million residents. We're seeing now a campaign for Thailand that's taking the same route. There are countless campaigns from throughout the world that try to promote domestic tourism, in this case, romantic tourism. It could be family tourism of families that are more likely to travel, people between the age of 35 to 44, they are the most likely as an age group to travel. At the moment, they're people who are millennials, who are young, who are Gen Y, who are youngsters, who are very limited in their financial resources. So for them, it's a little bit harder to travel at the moment. People who are more elder, some of them are choosing to refrain from travel because of the risk that related with age and COVID-19, and that group in the middle, families with children, people 35 to 44. This is a very important audience when we're looking at domestic travel. And of course, we would like to get all kind of audiences coming to our destination, but we have an existing opportunity with existing demand. And also we need to remember that people who used to travel outside of the Philippines, many of them refrain from doing it at the moment. So this is what we can do with this type of demand to make sure that we're taking a very solid advantage of it, that we're using all the full potential that's available within domestic tourism. Our next marketing key has to do with regional travel, traveling within the region. If we're looking at Europe, for example, and this is a picture taken in Berlin, so in Europe, about 40% of travelers want their next trip to be domestic travel, to stay within their country. Another 40% are looking for going regional, and only 10 regional, within Europe, and only 10% are looking at going outside of Europe. So at the moment, it seems that there is not a very positive sentiment for long-haul travel. So if we're used to market to tourists from the UK, from Germany, from the United States, perhaps these audiences are less likely to come and visit us, but in the second half of 2020. And again, we have to concentrate our efforts, not necessarily on the people we would like to visit or the people that visited us in the past, but where we have available demand. And the available demand is within the region, people who are either in the short haul or the medium haul market that might be interested. We need to remember that in this time when there are so many concerns, both health-wise with getting infected with COVID-19 or spending a long time in an airplane surrounded by many people for many hours in a very close proximity, there are also administrative worries that has to do with maybe I would need to be in quarantine, maybe I go to a country and this country will go into lockdown, maybe I would get infected and I would need local treatment in a local hospital. So for this reason, people would like to stay closer to their home, and closer they are to their home, the more comfortable they're feeling. So again, we're trying to look at the moment at the domestic audience and at the audience that's next following the domestic, the regional audience, not yet looking at long-haul audiences. I truly hope so that if we would run a similar webinar in January 2021, in 6 months from today, or less actually, in 4 months from today, so we could portray a different picture. We would see more people from Europe and the United States would be interested to come visit the Philippines. I definitely hope so. Point number 9, and we're approaching we have 10 marketing keys. So point number 9 has to do with being digital. One of the things that we have seen during the period of lockdown, and we had over 100 countries in the world that has been in lockdown for 4 weeks or more. So during this period on lockdown, people had spent much more time browsing the web, much more time on the internet. And we've seen a sharp rise in e-commerce because people in the past used to go to shop for buying clothes, for buying groceries, for all kind of things, for buying books, whatever. And we see that many fields of e-commerce has experienced a very surge in their consumption by consumers who now want to buy online. And we're seeing now the same thing happening in travel, in booking their next travel. So some 70% of Europeans say that they would book it online. They're looking for online method sources, information sources. And now it's more important than ever to focus their efforts on social media, on places such as Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and also to improve our website, to make sure that our website works well on mobile phone, to invest our marketing budgets in AdWords, campaign marketing, Google, to use all the available online resources that we have, including online influencers and bloggers and all kind of online tools that we have in order to make sure that we're out there. People could find us, learn about us, develop inspiration for the destination, then get all the information and have all the easiness and the sense of confidence to book online, so they would be able to come, put their phone aside and enjoy us face to face and not virtually. Our last marketing key has to do with resilience and agility. Unfortunately, we're living in a turbulent period, and COVID-19 might not be the last large-scale global crisis that we will be seeing in the coming years. And in addition to health issues such as COVID-19, the issue of climate change and global warming is literally a burning issue. We can see what's happening now in California or what's happening in Australia. And there are issues that have to do with threats from tropical storms and rising sea levels and changes in rainfall and extreme weather conditions. All these things have the ability to affect tourism in the Philippines and, of course, affect life in the Philippines. And when we're readjusting or rethinking about our business models or about our work, we should also remember that maybe the next crisis is right behind the corner, that having a crisis on a large scale, for example, that's related to climate change is not a question of if, but a question of when. And make sure that we build lean and agile business models that would allow us not only to go through the current crisis, but also to be more prepared for future crises and also to successfully recover from them. So to conclude, we have discussed today the 4 stages that led us to where we are, and then we talked about 10 marketing keys that each and every one of you could implement in order to make your way out of the current situation, enhance your marketing, promote your destination or your business more effectively, and make sure that we're incorporating all the knowledge that we have, and we're taking advantage of all the opportunities that we have at the moment in order to maximize the success ratio, maximize the ability for us to come out of the crisis. One last note is that In the last few months, many of us have been led by the crisis. But today, now, this is the turning point. This is time for us to not being led anymore, but start to lead. Okay, use today, use these FITEX as an opportunity to say, okay, till now was responding to the crisis. From now, I'm proacting in order to shape the reality around me, in order to flourish within this turbulent period and do whatever is possible in doing. It's not everything is possible, whatever possible to make sure that my destination, my business will successfully recover and enjoy the many tourists who are now sitting at home and dreaming of visiting the Philippines. Thank you very much for today. It's been a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to meet you all in person and to see you in Bohol and in the Philippines. Thank you very much.